Shalom, Shalum. Welcome to this channel. My name is Symmanayah if you're tuning in for the first time. This series is called Letter and Spirit because it is important to realize that as we read, as there's so many different translations of scriptures, it is important to pray and discern the spirit, the life that the Almighty Father Yahuah brings to the table, that brings to our presence, so that we can clearly see what is written as it relates to what the desire of the Almighty Father has for us. In other words, man has tampered with all the different translations. They don't all agree. And people tell you that that's the word. It's not the word, it's what is written. The original scriptures were the inspired writings from the word of the Almighty Father Yahuah. Yahuah, who is Aleph Tah, is the beginning and the end. He is a living being. He is the Almighty One. And it is He who brings clarity to the things that is written. If you search throughout the scripture, you'll see that most of the time, the Mashiach, or throughout the scriptures, you will find the words, "it is written," talking about the scriptures. It is written. And when it talks about the word of Yahuah, it's talking about the living presence of Yahuah coming before us. You see, the enemy wants us to stop, wants us to just grab a scripture or passage and say, that's the word. That's what the word said. I didn't say that. The word said that. Not presenting all regarding a matter. When it comes to judging, there's a time to judge, a time not to judge. But so many people, when judged, want to say, well, it ain't supposed to be judging me. It said judge not. Eliminating the scriptures that talks about us judging. Much confusion and division is among Yahusha that should not be. But there is an ordered division to separate the wicked from the set-apart ones. This segment, I want to discuss some matters regarding habits that we've developed that it would be wise to start looking at and ask ourselves, are we willing to release for unity? Let go of such habits. Come away from such habits. Come with me, my brothers and sisters. Let's get into this. Let's unpack this message for you to examine. And my prayer, my goal is that you are strengthened. The one in the mirror is strengthened, encouraged, stirred in your assessment of what you're doing, what we're doing as a set-apart nation. You see, my brothers and sisters, the days are rising where we must begin to look at what we will release for unity. We will not be able to continue forward divided and in the midst of confusion. In the midst of confusion, beliefs, teachings, and practices. Discipline is promised, and we will soon understand the severity of matters for building unity. Do you believe that the Almighty Father is the master craftsman? Do you believe it is He who will bring unity among His set-apart body, His set-apart family? Come, let us unpack what we could possibly release for unity. We will discover changes in beliefs, practices, teachings, and more as we witness weights remove, as we witness a release for unity, releasing weights that we thought was right and discover are not so much. Our positions of belief are shaped in different ways. We are influenced directly by the Spirit of Yahuah sent in Yahusha's name. Individual or groups, studies, assembly groups or influence, mores, teachers, and other unnamed outspoken people. All of these contribute towards our influence. It's a matter of what do we identify? How do we respond? What do we yield to? Out of the many different influences that contribute to who we are, I submit to you many corrections are coming. Let us journey into the scriptures regarding discipline and judgment. It is time for us to identify the realities of what is expected from the Almighty Yahuah through his word, sent in Yahusha's name. A release. Do we really want unity? Are we willing to let go? Are we willing to do the work necessary to discern what must be released so that unity can come? We begin in Hebrews. I will only touch on some of the passages in Hebrews 12th chapter. I encourage everyone to read the entire 12th chapter of Hebrews. Prayerfully seek to discern what does discipline resemble as you read each verse. What does it resemble? What are the dynamics? Let us prayerfully not just glaze over passages. We are not alone. You're not alone, my brothers and sisters. Never for a minute think that you're alone. Consider this passage in the 12th chapter of Hebrews. Verses 1 and 2 reads, "We too then, having so great a cloud of witnesses are all around us, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which so easily entangles us, and let us run with endurance the race set before us." Lay aside. Release it, my brothers and sisters. Release the weights that try to get us entangled into distractions and confusion. That cloud of witnesses are people watching us, watching you, that you don't know are watching you. Our messengers watching you, whom you don't know are watching you. It says, looking to the Prince and Perfecter of our belief, Yahusha, who for the joy that was set before him endured the stake, having despised the shame and sat down at the right hand of the throne of the Almighty One. Yasharal. Prepare to open your hands. Unball your fists. Let go of the grasp. Walk away from the weights. Another passage in Hebrews 5 and 6 says, "And you have forgotten the appeal which speaks to you as sons. My son, do not despise the discipline of Yahuah, nor faint when you are reproved by him. For whom Yahuah loves, he disciplines, and flogs every son whom he receives. Do not run from the discipline of the Almighty Father. Be prepared to let go of the weights. Release the distractions." Goes on to say in the 11th verse of the 12th chapter of Hebrews, "And indeed, no discipline seems pleasant at the time, but grievous. But afterward it yields the peaceable fruit of righteousness to those who have been trained by it." My brothers and sisters, there are other scriptures that speak in reference disciplines. Let's take a look. In Proverbs, we read in the 3rd chapter, and I'm in the Eastwood version, "My son, do not despise the discipline of Yahuah, and do not loathe his reproof. For whom Yahuah loves, he reproves, as a father the son whom he delights in." In Revelation 3:19, it says, "As many as I love, I reprove and discipline, so be ardent and repent." Who has given thought to what happens in discipline? Could it be corrections? Who have given thought that part of becoming renewed in the spirit each day is about knowing when to yield to his discipline, to corrections when we stumble or fall? Let us take a look also at 1 Peter 4:17, for it reads this, "Because it's time for judgment to begin from the house of the Almighty One, if firstly from us, what is the end of those who do not obey the good news of the Almighty One?" I submit to you, my brothers and sisters, we are the house of Yahuah. So many times people are saying, We too divided against ourselves. There's too much confusion. And they sometimes don't pray and say what division is good and what is bad. What is the division that is working to remove that which is wicked? And what is the division that's just causing confusion and just drumming up stuff, fabricating stuff, vain imaginations, wicked thoughts to just cause grumbling and disputes? We must understand what iron sharpened iron resembles. We must understand with restoring a brother back into set-apartness when they've stumbled or fall, what that looked like versus just grumbling, fighting one another. Judgment begins at the house of Yahuah. So yes, we will see some conflict, but it should be disciplined in a way where we identify the conflict with prayer and supplication and intent to discover the solution. That solution may be yielding to correction, or that solution may be to come away from or to purge that element. We study and read the scriptures, but fail to truly look at how they are made alive, my brothers and sisters. I can't emphasize that enough. Over time, we develop habits, some good with some not so good. It is my position that we will soon face habits that we must release, and will release for the sake of unity. Why is this message important? Consider what it would take to be fulfilled. Consider Revelation 7:4 says, I heard the number of those who were sealed, 144,000 sealed out of all the tribes of the children of Yahusha. Do you believe there's some release for unity, to keep the unity, to bring together 144,000? Do we honestly think these individuals will not be challenged to choose what they will release for unity? It would be wise to realize that our flesh fights against what is set apart. The 144,000 are individuals in flesh. In other words, blood. They're men. They're individuals chosen by the Almighty Father. Whether they're all men or men and women, I'm not presenting that argument. But I am saying that they are individuals born, raised in set-apartness, born in the flesh. And if they're born in the flesh, their flesh war against the spirit. But it's the anointing of the Almighty Father that brings about the unity of that 144,000, my brothers and sisters. So as the flesh war against the spirit, it must be a release or an avoidance. Take a look at Revelation 7:9. It says, after this I looked and saw a great crowd, which no one was able to count, out of nations, tribes, peoples, and tongues, standing before the throne and before the Lamb, dressed in white robes and palm branches in their hands, crying out with a loud voice, saying, deliverance belongs to our Almighty One, who sits on the throne, and to the Lamb. Let's continue, my brothers and sisters. 11th verse through the 13th says, and all the messengers stood around the throne, and the elders and the four living creatures fell on their faces before the throne and worshiped the Almighty One, saying, Amen. The blessing and the esteem and the wisdom of the thanksgiving and the respect and the power and the might to our Almighty One forever and ever. Amen. And he goes on to say, and one of the elders responded, saying to me, who are these dressed in white robes? Where did they come from? And the response in Revelation 7:14 is this. I said to him, Master, you know. He said to me, these are those coming out of the great distress, having washed their blood, their robes, and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. See, Yahusha, there are many that are thinking that it's just going to be the 144,000 in that final Exodus. There are many forget that it's going to be a great multitude. There are many that forget that when you compare a large crowd of people, let's just say 10 million, this is my example, to the entire world population, they would be a remnant. So therefore, you are able to have a remnant and a great multitude at the same time. This is where prayer, seeking to understand and discern what is meant by what we read when it talks about remnant and when it talks about a great multitude. Some think it's just 144,000 sealed. I submit to you all the set-apart children of Yahuah that were physically alive at that point. It was talking about sealed because it was specific things that need to be fulfilled where they could not be touched, where the wicked one could not prevent this, because the word of Yahuah spoke what would happen and allowed and inspired the writings to let us know that these things will indeed occur. So it is written as a result of the living word of Yahuah. It is through discipline and judgment that we will discover over the coming days the things that we will release for unity. In other words, we must let go and yield to what is right. We will be surprised, my brothers and sisters. Watch for changes related to these things and more. Recognizing the voice of the Almighty Yahuah, sent in Yahusha's name. Shabbat, when a day begins and ends, we will release the things that are untrue about when the day begins and ends. We will walk away and purge false teachings and practices and behaviors. For unity will come, guarding Shabbat the way Yahuah had ordered it, recognizing the day when it begins and ends, which is morning to morning. You see, the person who worked first was Abba Yahuah. He created, he established, he rested. And Abba Yahuah is light. And he's the Aleph and the Tah, the beginning and the end. And he demonstrated the beginning and the end of a Shabbat. It is one's cognitive skills, mental faculties, and how one's been programmed to think that a day begins as the sun go down. Pray and watch, my brothers and sisters. We will release the false and embrace what is true. Communications, corrections on language. People that's causing you to waste and consume time telling you falsely that they're teaching you the original language or the original Hebrew, and are lying and deceiving so many people, eating so much time, trying to make it look like they are leading people back to the original language. We will release the false teachings. We will come away from them. Corrections will come. How we dress, the truth about what to wear, about zitzits and fringes, how it's supposed to be a cord used to hem our garments neatly, not phylacteries, as many think. That's just vanity, or someone saying, I want to make sure you see that I have a cord on my garment. Marriage, whether one takes precedence over other, being single and married to Yahusha, having one wife or multiple wives, watch the release that is necessary to accept the components for building a set-apart nation. Leadership and structure are coming away from all these different camps and groups and community labels and move towards a label that say we are the set-apart children of Yahuah. We represent Yasharal, a set-apart nation, comprised of 12 tribes that are mentioned in Revelation 7 chapter in a great multitude. Let us hold up that banner and realize the priority that's coming to bring unity between all the set-apart children of Yahuah as the Almighty Father desires. Teachings and practices, my brothers and sisters, how we act, how we govern ourselves. Destinations, to complete end-time promises and prophecies. And there will be more things that we have to let go of, release for unity. Are you willing to stake your life on your position of belief and practices? I invite each of us to review Philippians 1:9 through 11. O Yahusha, consider these words. Philippians 1:9 through 11, and I'm reading Esau. And this I pray, that your love might extend more and more in knowledge and all discernment, for you to examine the matters that are different, in order to be sincere and not stumbling into the day of Messiah, being filled with the fruit of righteousness through Yahusha Messiah, to the esteem and praise of the Almighty One. My brother, my sister, please note there are habits and things that cannot be continued. These habits and or practices, we will witness the hand of the Almighty Father take us to where we will learn to release these things. They will be an example. There will be demonstrations. We will learn to release for unity what is ordered by the Almighty Father. Let me continue. Come with me, my brothers and sisters. Patience sometimes yields some fruit that you may have thought may not have been present. Come, stay with me, O Yahusha. Come with me to Matthew 12:25, for it reads this in the Esau version. And Yahusha knew their thoughts and said to them, every reign divided against itself is laid waste. Every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. Given what I just read, have we considered what must be done to come away from a house divided? For some, it means coming away from current groups or fellowships, communities, or camps. You see, discipline brings refinement, but there are and will be times to just come away. Step away from, release the shackles that hold you in places that we should not be. Keep in mind, my brothers and sisters, there's a division ordered by Almighty Yahuah. I mentioned it earlier, and now I want to talk about it. Versus divisions that are disruptive and wicked. Let's look at some scriptures, my brothers and sisters, and pray to discern the life in them so that we understand the desires of the Almighty Father. Come with me to Matthew chapter 10, verse 34 through 36. Matthew 10, 34 through 36 read, do not think, this is the Messiah speaking, being quoted, do not think that I have come to bring peace on earth. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. For I have come to bring division, a man against his father, a daughter against her mother, a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And the man's enemy are those of his own household. My brothers and sisters, see, oftentimes we fail to realize who it is that gives us life individually. Who is it that give us the ability to participate in the giving and receiving in life? It is the Almighty Father. It is by His word that we live. It is important to accept the distractions that bring righteous division. This requires release. In other words, rise up, set apart brothers and sisters. Be ready to release for unity. Things that are not set apart. We will discover what these things are as we are disciplined and refined in set-apartness. Watch the perfecting of a set-apart nation come together in unity. Let us begin to examine all things and see whether there is unrighteousness in our midst. Examine all things whether there is unrighteous baggage in our walk. And release that baggage, my brothers and sisters. Let us be prepared to face the test of proving all things as we are instructed It would be wise to begin with the person in the mirror and knowing what to do when we discover what must be released for the sake of unity, for the sake of obedience. Let us visit Romans chapter 12, verse 2. Romans 12:2. I want to read that and revisit it. It says, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you prove what is that good and well-pleasing and perfect desire of the Almighty One. The renewing of the mind. Sometimes we have to move clutter. We have to declutter the thoughts. Sometimes we have to turn away from the many distractions. Sometimes we have to come out of the confusion. Sometimes, my brothers and sisters, for the sake of unity, the question rests with each of us is to identify what we will release for unity. What are we willing to let go of? Keep in mind, Yahusha, where we mistakenly attempt to hold on to things, teachings, and their practices. The discipline of Abba Yahuah will not be halted. We can't stop his discipline, his refinement. Cleaning house could be as one sweeping the floor. Cleaning house could be as one picking out the weeds. Cleaning house could be coming away from the things that are destructive, that are contrary to the desires of the Almighty Father. Like a tug of war being pulled in different directions, there will only be one. There will be only one victor, one winner. And I say that is the set-apart nation of Yahusha. That is the bride of Yahusha. That is the body of Mashiach. Rise up, set-apart family. Prepare, O set-apart Yahusha, to witness what will occur regarding release for unity. Prepare to let some people and things in our life go. Let it go, my brothers and sisters, and discover what awaits you, what awaits Yahusha. Hopefully prayerfully, this message stir your spirit to say, okay, what baggage, what things am I willing to walk away from? What things am I willing to purge? What teachings, habits, practices have I been mistakenly misled on? What do I need to release? The answer will emerge with each passing day if we seek to discern, understand, and obey the words, the guidance from the Almighty Father that comes to us directly through his Spirit or through those whom he chooses to deliver the message through. Rise up, O Yahusha, release for unity. Know when to cut it off. Know when to come away. Thank you for your patience. And I will say this to you, if you've listened from beginning to end. Consider sirens or alarms and warnings. They repeat themselves over and over to no longer need it. Sometimes it's necessary to be redundant or repetitive to let it saturate and marinate within our mind, body, and soul, to keep it top of mind that each day will require a releasing when we turn from one thing that is unhealthy, unrighteous, wicked, and move closer into set-apartness. That's a release for the sake of unity. On that note, my brothers and sisters, thank you for your patience and tolerance. Be of good cheer. Our redemption is drawing closer than we realize. On that note, my brothers and sisters, take advantage of the algorithm. If you learned something, if it stirred you closer, if it encouraged you, and share this message, share this channel with others. Don't be caught up on stopping just saying, oh, he just want to get subscribers. Pray first and seek to discern. And ask yourselves, was there something good in this message that you can pass on to others and start a snowball effect? Let us, not only for this channel, for any channel that presents things that are set-apartness, we're clouding our time with too many different visitations on things that may not necessarily be encouraging us. So let us start picking wisely what we want to expose to others and expose ourselves to. Thank you again, my brother, my sister, my family. I end by saying to you, there's much more to come.